Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on Play on GAA with me, Seamus Brady, your host, and for this one we are going to run through our full preview of the All-Ireland Championship for 2023 in the Gaelic football year. So please make sure before we start, like, subscribe, share and comment, all that good stuff. It really helps us out here on the channel. And yeah, let's crack on with this preview. So how we're going to do it is we're going to go province by province, starting with the province that I think is the easiest one to predict, being Leinster, and finishing with the one which I think is the hardest one to predict, which is Ulster. Then I'm going to run through who I think is All-Ireland contenders and then who I think could win the Táilteann Cup. So let's start with the Leinster Championship for 2023. This is by far the easiest province to predict, but I'm going to go game by game. I'm going to go who I think is going to make which stage of the Leinster Championship. But just to give you a taste of how just one side of the Leinster Championship has been, if you're watching this preview on Instagram or if you're watching this on TikTok, well, I have news for you. These platforms did not exist the last time that Dublin lost a game in the Leinster Championship. The last time Dublin lost a game in the Leinster Championship was summer 2010, where Meath won by scoring 5 goals against them. It finished 5-9 to 13 points that day. If you actually look at it, Instagram was made in late 2010. It was October 2010 Instagram was made, and TikTok obviously 2016. So like there you go. If you're watching this on either of those platforms, you couldn't last time Dublin lost in Leinster. But I'm going to go through, each team, who I think can maybe challenge them, and so on. So round one, Longford face Offaly in Pearse Park, and I'm going to go with Offaly to win this one. I just feel like they are a little bit ahead of Longford right now. Longford had a bad league campaign. They looked out of their depth in a lot of the games that they played, and they got relegated. Wicklow against Carlow and Ockram. I'm going to go with Wicklow to win that one. Very impressed by them in the Division 4 final against Sligo. Even though they were beaten, I thought some of their forwards, Kevin Quinn, Owen Darcy, they look very, very sharp. And I'm going to go with them to beat Carlow in that game. And Laois against Wexford in O'Moore Park, Port Laois. Probably the one that I find the hardest to call out of the opening round. But I'm just going to go with Laois. They showed at the start of Division 4 the level that they can get to. And if they play at the level that they played, say, when they went away to Sligo and won by 6 points, then I will go with them to take that victory, which would bring us into a quarterfinals then of Kildare versus Wicklow, Dublin versus Laois, Meath versus Offaly, and Westmeath versus Louth. So I'm going to go with Kildare to beat Wicklow. I still think, even though Kildare had a bad league campaign and they showed real frailties in some games, particularly the Louth game and the Derry game, but I'm going to go with them to beat Wicklow. I just think they still have too talented a squad to lose a game like that. Dublin against Laois, I'm going to go with Dublin to win. Good performance in the Division 2 final against Derry, looked to have turned the corner a little bit. Then Meath against Offaly, I'm going to go with Meath to win that game. I still think Meath have too talented a forward line, the likes of Cillian O'Sullivan, Jordan Morris, Shane Walsh. I'm going to go with them to win that game. And now it's time for my controversial pick. I'm going to go with Westmeath to beat Louth. And I'm fully aware of how good Louth were in this league campaign, but I just feel Westmeath always switch it up a gear when it comes to championship, and their forward line is devastating. You've got the likes of John Heslin, Ronan O'Toole, Kieran Martin. I'm just going to go with Westmeath to narrowly edge this game. But Louth wouldn't surprise me if they won. They beat Meath. They beat Kildare in the league campaign. I'm just going to go with Westmeath because I think Westmeath tend to turn it up when it comes to championship time. The semi-finals then in the Leinster Championship would then be Kildare against Dublin, Meath against Westmeath. I'm going to go with Dublin to beat Kildare. I don't think anybody would dispute that. Dublin, yes, we were beaten by Kildare last year in the league campaign, but look what happened in the Leinster final. When championship rolled around, Dublin stepped it up a gear. And I think we're going to do the same thing again in this championship and beat Kildare in that semi-final. Then Meath against Westmeath, a super rivalry between these two counties. And I'm going to go with Meath to win that one. That is another potentially controversial pick, but the reason I'm going for it is Meath could be in the Táilteann Cup this year. If Clare make the Munster final and Meath don't, then they are in the Táilteann Cup, and I think O'Rourke would absolutely not want that. Meath would definitely not want that, so I feel like they're going to play like their lives depend on it and just about sneak through into Leinster final, which would leave a Leinster final of 2023, Dublin against Meath, and my pick to win that one would be Dublin 100%. I see no way that Dublin don't win the Leinster Championship this year. I would be absolutely stunned. And yeah, predicting that Dublin make it an incredible 13th Leinster title in a row. So the next one then is the Munster Championship preview of 2023. Again, this one quite a difficult one to tell in someone's, but then quite easy when you're talking about who you're going to pick to win the entire thing. Well, like, we're going to start with the quarterfinals. The first game here, Tipperary against Waterford. Tipperary had a poor league campaign, relegated. But look, they had the Conor Sweeney injury, Michael Quinlivan not taking part in the panel, like Robbie Kiley's retirement. They had a lot to deal with in the league campaign. And I am still going to go with them to beat Waterford in this game. So Tipperary to get through in that one. Then Cork against Clare. This is really hard to call because, as I said in the Leinster preview, if Clare make the Munster final, they're in the All-Ireland Championship. And they have Cork and then Limerick standing in their way. This is the game, really. But I am going to go with league form. And Cork looked really, really good in the league. So I am just going to go with Cork to edge this. But Clare will play like their whole life depends on it. So I could easily see them winning it. But I'm just going to go with Cork to win this one. Kerry against Tipperary would then be one of the Munster semi-finals. I'm going to go with Kerry to win that one. Limerick against Cork on the other side, I would go with Cork to win that one. And I would also go with Clare to win that one if Clare beat Cork. Then the Munster final of 2023 would be Kerry against Cork. And I'm going to go with Kerry to win that one, regardless of whoever they play in the Munster final. So Kerry are my pick to be Munster champions for 2023. Let me know what your pick is in the comments below. So that's Munster wrapped up. We're going to move up a level now in terms of competitiveness to the Connacht Championship preview of 2023. This one is really hard to call, and it's really hard to call because you have three giants on the same side of the draw. So we're going to start with the Connacht quarterfinals. New York against Leitrim. I'm going to go with Leitrim to win that. London against Sligo. I'm going to go with Sligo to win that. Mayo against Roscommon then in McHale Park. That is so hard to call because last time Mayo won the Allianz League was in 2019 against Kerry, and then very quickly after, Roscommon beat them in the Connacht Championship. So this is not uncharted territory. Mayo going in as league champions against Roscommon is something that we've seen only 4 years ago, and Roscommon put them to the sword that day. Will the same thing happen again? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say Mayo are going to win. I actually really like the look of them in that league final. And I'm just going to go with Mayo to edge this one. Mayo to beat Roscommon for me in this game. Then we have the Connacht semi-finals. Mayo against Galway and Sligo against Leitrim then. This is the hardest game to call out with a lot. Mayo against Galway. It literally can go any way on any given day. Galway won last year. Mayo won the league final. There was a draw between the two of them in the actual match in the Allianz League in round one. And it was such a back and forth game. It's such a hard one to call. I am going to just genuinely toss a coin. Either of these teams can win this game. I'm going to go with either team can win this one. You know what I mean? I'm going to say that Sligo are going to be waiting for them in the final. But the one thing that I will say is whoever wins this game between Mayo and Galway will be Connacht champions for 2023. And if Roscommon beat these two sides, then they're going to be Connacht champions. It's whoever comes out of that side of the draw is going to win the whole thing. I am just about going to go with Galway. Just about. And that is based off the fact that even though Mayo looked great in that league final, if that 56-minute shot from Damien Cormack goes into the back of the net, I think Galway go on and win that game. And they beat them in the last year in the Connacht Championship and should have won the game that was played in Castlebar in round one. So just about going to go with Galway. But I do think both of these sides are serious All-Ireland contenders. But that is in my All-Ireland preview. The next one up. It's a controversial pick, and I absolutely can see why people would be backing Mayo to win this game and to win the whole Connacht Championship. But that's my pick. Let me know what you think in the comments below. We're going to move on now. This one is the Ulster Championship preview for 2023 here on Play on GAA. I'm going to start with round one, which is Armagh against Antrim, and I'm going to go with Armagh to win this game. Even though they got relegated, even though Antrim put up some good performances under Andy McEntee in the league, I'm going to go with Armagh to win this game. which brings us on to the quarterfinals then. The first one, Fermanagh against Derry. Look, even though Fermanagh have shown huge signs of progress under Kieran Donnelly, making the Division 3 final, gaining promotion, I'm going to go with Derry to win this game. They just looked fantastic throughout the league in Division 2, apart from the second half of the league final against Dublin. The next one then, Tyrone against Monaghan. Again, so hard to call. This one can go either way. Both these sides have been very evenly matched, but I am going to go with Tyrone to get this win, because you look at the league, Tyrone pushed Monaghan nearly to the brink of relegation by beating them, and I just feel like when it really matters, Tyrone tend to, when their backs are against the wall, they tend to come out swinging. So I'm going to go with Tyrone to win that one. Cavan against Armagh is another really difficult one to call, because Cavan, obviously Division 3 champions and are really progressing. Armagh on the other side, getting relegated, potential regression there, but I am going to go with Armagh just about to win this game. And then potentially a controversial choice, bit of a hot take. I'm going to go with Down to beat Donegal. And I really feel like Donegal are all over the place right now. Their performance in the Roscommon game was terrible, like absolutely terrible. To lose by 21 points to 9 when you've got nothing to lose, like why not just go out there and give it a lash? And they lose by 21 points to 9. Shocking. So I am going to go with Down to beat them, because on the other side, Down have Conor Laverty in there. They have the Kilcoo boys in there. They're making serious signs of progress. Their victory on the final day over Offaly was really good. I am going to go with them to get this win, which brings us into the Ulster semi-finals. Derry against Tyrone would be the first one. I mean, what a game that is. And it's so hard to call, because last year Derry mopped the floor with Tyrone and nobody saw that coming. This year Tyrone will know full well what a threat Derry are, and they will be more ready for them than they were last year. There's no doubt about that. But I still am going to go with Derry. I just think their system is too good. Rory Gallagher's system, they've worked it down to a fine art, and I'm going to go with Derry to win that one. In the other semi-final, Armagh would play against Down, and I am going to go with Armagh to make the Ulster final under Kieran McGeeney. They haven't made an Ulster final since 2008, which is absolutely shocking when you think about how good Armagh can be and have been over the last 10 years. But I'm going to go with them to make it this year. I'm going to go with them to beat Down, which would leave us with an Ulster final of Derry against Armagh. Now, that one is difficult. I actually think if the game is played in Croke Park, it suits Armagh more. It suits their style more. But I actually would go for Derry to win that Ulster final between the two and make it back-to-back Ulster titles. That's my pick. I'm going to go with Derry to win. But I do think if Tyrone beat Derry in the Ulster semi-final, I think they win the Ulster Championship. It's a very tough one to call. Let me know what you think, who is going to win, in the comments down below. So that is all the provinces wrapped up, which brings us on to the wider All-Ireland Championship. Brings us on to who I actually feel is capable of winning the All-Ireland. So here we go, the All-Ireland Championship preview for 2023. And I'm just going to run through a few sides that I think are capable of winning the All-Ireland. So the first one, the obvious one, Kerry. Defending All-Ireland champions, looked really good last year, but they do look a bit off the pace compared to where they were last year. They don't look as solid at the back. They don't look as structured. They don't look as free scoring. Like in a couple of games in the league, they scored very little. Like you're talking about the Donegal game, they only scored 9 points. I know they got a goal, but certain games they were held to very low tallies. They do still have, the same players that they had last year, and they are still right up there as contenders. Mayo, Galway, from Connacht, Roscommon as well. They're 3 very good shouts. I just feel like Roscommon still are just lacking a little bit in terms of going for the All-Ireland title. Mayo against Galway is going to be one hell of a game to look at if you're going to talk about the All-Ireland credentials of both sides. Mayo, of course, the Division 1 champions. And with Kevin McStay there, they're still, learning how to play under him. So it's remarkable that they've got the knack this quick. From Division 2, I think Dublin and Derry are both All-Ireland contenders. And I think both of them would have comfortably survived in Division 1 this year. Then on the other side, of course, you have the likes of Tyrone, Armagh potentially as dark horses, Monaghan potentially as dark horses. It's a really interesting one to see who's going to go for this. If I had to pick now who I think is going to win the All-Ireland for 2023, it's such a difficult one. I do think Dublin will come out of Leinster. I do think Kerry will come out of Munster. I think that Galway will come out of Connacht, and I think that Derry will come out of Ulster. So yeah, I am going for a clean sweep in terms of provincial defences. It's so hard to call because there's so many variables that can happen here. But if I had to pick, I would probably just about go with Kerry to defend. Kerry for me, number one, in terms of who's likely to win it. Kerry, number one. I would probably say Mayo, number two, and Dublin, number three. Or maybe Galway. Oh, it's so hard to call, but I'm going to go with a power ranking. So I think it's going to come out of one of these five. I think it's going to come out of Kerry, Mayo, Dublin, Galway, Derry. I think it's going to come out of one of those five, the All-Ireland champions of 2023. And if I had to pick, I would say Kerry. I just feel like they'll turn it up when it comes to the championship again. David Clifford, Sean O'Shea, they'll all come good and they'll just about get over the line. I feel like Mayo, though, have a serious chance of winning as well. So do Galway, so do Dublin, and so do Derry. Because if Dublin, look, that second half in the league final was really, really good. Paul Mannion back in, Jack McCaffrey back in. And you have to remember, when Dublin lost to Kerry last year by that amazing Sean O'Shea point, we didn't have Conor Callaghan, we didn't have Paul Mannion, and we didn't have Jack McCaffrey. Does that make a 1 point difference? Absolutely. So Kerry do need to up their level to hang on to the All-Ireland next year. Galway are going to be better as well. It's so hard to call, but I'm just about going with Kerry to win. Tyrone as dark horses as well while we're on it. So, yeah, that's my All-Ireland preview. But as the year goes on, of course, we're going to, have previews for the weekend, have predictions for the weekend. And maybe, as I said, with the variables, maybe I'll see the light and maybe go for someone else. But right now, I am going with Kerry to win their 39th All-Ireland title and to defend their current crown. Which then brings me on to the Táilteann Cup preview for 2023. And right away, I'm just going to say the team that I think is going to win it. And this is if they do not make their provincial final, and that is Clare. So I've predicted that Clare will not make the Munster final of 2023. So I predict that they are going to win the Táilteann Cup for 2023. And honestly, I think it would be absolutely fitting if they did. Colin Collins has given 10 years of excellent service to the Clare football job. He's been absolutely magnificent. You think of the players that they've had and lost, the likes of Gary Brennan, David Tubridy, Aaron Fitzgerald, and they still consistently turned out an amazing team. They're bringing through the likes of Gavin Cooney, Emmett McMahon, Owen Cleary's been magnificent for them for years now. And I just feel like they deserve a significant bit of silverware. And if they go into the Táilteann Cup, considering the fact that they've been so consistently competitive in Division 2 for years, they've made the All-Ireland quarter-final last year by beating Roscommon, who are now loads of people's pick for dark horses for the All-Ireland. I feel like Clare are my number one pick. They are my pick to win the Táilteann Cup for 2023 if they do not make the Munster final. Another good shout is 100% Cavan, Fermanagh, Down. Obviously, if Clare did make it, Meath would be a good shout as well. But if Meath also made it, Kildare would be in it. They'd be a good shout. It's really, really hard to call. But my pick is I'm going to go Clare if they end up in it. And if they don't end up in it, I'm going to go Cavan to make amends for last year and win the Táilteann Cup this year. So I am speaking on the day before the championship kicks off on April 8th on the Saturday. I'm speaking on April 7th. So it is all out in front of us. But that is what I'm thinking right here, right now, in this moment. I'm going to go with Galway to win Connacht, Dublin to win Leinster, Kerry to win Munster, Derry to win Ulster, Clare to win the Táilteann Cup if they are in it, and if they are not, Cavan to win it, and then Kerry to win the big one, the All-Ireland Football Championship. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Who is your picks to win all of these championships? And until the next one, guys, take care.